Okay. All right. What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up? Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Okay, so what a day. What a day. What a day. What a day. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is the news that we got tomorrow. All right. So we do have Fed Chair Jerome Powell speaking again tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Uh, he's not going to be saying anything too different from what he stated today. Today is usually, or the first day of Powell's testimony is usually the volatile day. The follow-up day that usually comes the next day, the market doesn't really react to what he states in this meeting. It's usually the same thing from the first one. Unless he says something new and unless he says anything unexpected, I really don't expect to see any real volatility uh, tomorrow. We may get a reaction, but not a whole lot of volatility. Obviously, wholesale inventories don't necessarily matter. The market is going to be focused on Powell tomorrow. We do have two follow-up Fed speakers tomorrow at 1:30 Central Time, Bauman and Goolsbee. And, well, I mean, technically this is going to be in tomorrow's session, but at 5:30 we do have a Fed Cook speaking. So that's going to be more relevant for uh, later in the session at 5:30. So that's nothing for us to worry about with this one. Oh, and we do have the monthly budget statement and the 10-year auction at 12 o'clock and at 1 o'clock. So just be mindful in this block of time right here. All right. Now that we know what to expect, let's jump into the charts. Now that we know what to expect, let's jump into the charts and create a game plan for tomorrow's price action. Okay, so this is the higher time frame chart. This is basically how the Nasdaq closed yesterday. We can see that we had this massive continuation move up from yesterday's session, and from here we had the market completely trend down the entirety of the day after Jerome Powell was done speaking, or after Jerome Powell was done testifying, and we had price making one, two, three, four legs down before the bulls were able to break out of this downtrend. So this was a lot of bearish momentum to the downside. Now, I don't necessarily believe that there were bears that was selling this down. What's more likely is that the bulls were actually taking profits here at these highs. And from this, we can see that as they were taking profits, we can see that bulls were trying to buy this up and was finally successful once we got this retest of this support area. But I'm not necessarily convinced of this move up. What I'm actually looking out for going into tomorrow is actually somewhere in here for the bears to come in and try. And the key word is try to knock price down for at least an attempt of a double bottom. I would find it hard to believe that with all this bearish momentum, there's not going to be resting sell orders here at these highs. And I expect the bears to try. I expect them to try. Let's actually look at a smaller time frame. All right, so okay. So this is a smaller time frame. You can basically see the same move, but we can see better price action on these smaller time frame charts. And right around that same area, around that 718 to 711 area, right here at this golden zone, is where I expect for the bears to really come in and try to, if not, try to create a double bottom here at this low. At least retest this neckline where we got this breakout from here at 660. I want to see the bears at least come in and try. I would feel comfortable taking a position here if I see the bulls showing effort in this area, a little bit of price action for a snipe back up to retest that area right here. Now, if the bulls are successful in holding off this area and actually breaking through what could potentially be an area of supply, another area that I'm looking out for is going to be the 746 to about 734. I'm looking for the bears to come in and really try in this area to really knock price down for at least a retest of that 660 level. And if we can get a break, that 630 to 28 level. For right now, I'm going to assume that that's going to be a strong low at 616 and that there's going to be buyers that's going to want to protect that low. So I'm going to be looking for them to really show up at that 620 to 630 level if we do get price to roll over in the pre-market or sometime in tomorrow's session. Now, the same thing could be said for this high right here. If I'm not mistaken, we have CPI on Thursday, and all inflationary data so far has been a bullish event for the market. So that has me thinking that the market is going to want to set itself up for that move. So right now, until the price proves me wrong, I will be looking for the bears to really try to take over tomorrow's session. There's not going to be real buyers coming into the market, especially with CPI coming in on Thursday. And like I said, I believe the market is going to want to set itself up. We have too much supply, too much bearish supply on the way down. And as price comes up, you can see that the bears, actually, let me get this. Where is my mouse? I swear. You can see that the bears has been coming in with a lot of bearish momentum down. And as price is coming back up to retest these areas, I do expect a reaction on the NQ. If we look previously at previous price action, we can see that we got a breakout of this range. We got a breakout of this range, and that's why I have my eyes on that 660 area for price to come back in and use that as a support area to try to retest that new all-time high that we created earlier in the session. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for. Definitely, we're going to have to wait overnight again with the Nasdaq because of all the levels that got hit during the session. A lot of the areas has been cleared out. So we're definitely going to have to wait for the price action to really set itself overnight. And we're going to be able to make better trading decisions going into tomorrow's session. But ultimately, I do believe that we will grind higher overnight. And once we retest these areas, I do expect for the bears to come in and sell price down. If you look at the hourly chart on the Nasdaq, you can see that we had 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of selling once we got a break of this range. Let me just draw this out. So once price broke that range right here, and we saw a move down, you can see that obviously we had 4 hours of bears just aggressively selling out of their positions. And towards later in the session, you can see that we have about 3 hours. Now 5 hours of the bulls are buying. And you can see that these bullish candles are weak compared to these bearish candles. And so that's another clue that has me thinking that price will grind up overnight, but with all this bearish aggression, we could possibly see a move down lower before we see a move to retest old highs. And if we really think about it, with CPI tomorrow or CPI on Thursday, I'm going to really expect for the market to want to set itself up, unless it wants to take out this high and then go higher. I mean, at this point, we all know that the bulls can definitely do that. They have been doing that. But in terms of price action, that would be absolutely crazy for the market to just trade above this high with little to no price action. I mean, this would kind of be considered price action. However, I would think that the market I would assume that the market will want to establish more price action in this area before we start accepting higher prices. But as I said before, the market has just been completely regarded lately, so anything is possible at this point. That's all I have for the Nasdaq for right now. And with that said, we're going to jump into an ES chart. Okay. So obviously the ES has just been completely lagging behind the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, I mean, you could have made literally 100K today with the Nasdaq because both the bulls and the bears were able to get paid today. Not so much on the ES. Now, as a Nasdaq trader by heart, I do forget that 8 or 9 to 10 points on the ES is a good trade. And looking at it from that point of view, the bears and the bulls were able to eat today. However, before the start of the stream, I was in short here, or where was I short at? I was short at 40, I think, 39. I was actually short at 39 in yesterday's session. And I had my first target at 29. 29. And I had the rest of my targets going down. When I looked at the session last night, or not last night, last session, we had a massive move down on the Nasdaq. I would have got one of my targets hit if I was still in this position from last night. Only one of my targets hit, which was only, so yeah, I was in at 39. So that was literally a 10-point trade if I stayed in it. Now, the market did create a new high at 45 3/4. However, 10 points was somewhere right here, I think. And so we didn't get this move until, I believe, after Powell's testimony or during it, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. What time did this happen? Yeah, right after Powell's testimony, we had a super liquidity, and we had this move down. I will say that before, the ES was actually moving better than the Nasdaq. Now it just seems that the ES is not moving at all. I mean, if you look at past price action, we got a lot of massive moves to the up and to the downside. But today, the ES has just been lackluster, really lackluster today, and that's very disappointing. What I do expect, and we're just going to go to a smaller time frame with the ES. So I do expect for the bears to come in somewhere in this area at this 640 to about 640 to about 638. I do expect for the bears to come in and try. We do have this high. So let me see where it's at. We do have this high here at 642. So that's going to be another key area that I'm going to be looking at going into tomorrow. I'm going to assume that the market is going to want to protect this high. If price does begin to trend, or not trend, but to trade higher overnight. However, what I'm looking for on the ES is actually, and if I can catch the short, I would prefer the short at 42 or somewhere in 38. I want to see the price action. I want to see it set up. What I'm really looking for is if I'm going to go long, I'm actually going to be looking for price to come all the way back down here to this area, somewhere around 616 and about 615. I'm looking for price to come back and retest this area right here. That's what I'm going to be looking for, especially if we get a break below this low. I'm going to make the assumption that if we get a break, we're going to see something like this, possibly a bounce around 22. We're going to see a retest of this level. And from here, what I'm going to be looking for is the bears to push price back into this area of support where they can take their profits. Buyers can enter the market here. Everybody become buyers. And we can possibly see a move back up to about 34, 35, 38, somewhere in that area. That's what I'm really expecting to see tomorrow. Because I don't think that unless the ES chops tomorrow until Thursday's CPI release, and if that's what we get, I really don't see the market going above this high at 645. We don't have anything. We don't have any real news event going into tomorrow for price to break this high on the ES. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. And if price does trade back into this area, I believe that this will be a great risk reward short, having something maybe of 3 to 5 point stop, retesting, possibly 10 points. Yeah, like a 10-point play. Yeah, that will work. Like a 10-point play, risking 5 to make 10 and possibly more. Because if we get a break of this low, like I said, if we get a break of 628, we can definitely see more downside. Definitely see more downside. We don't get the fake out breakout, or no, not the fake out breakouts, but we don't really get a lot of the shenanigans that we get on the Nasdaq with the ES. Once you break structure, it turns from support into resistance and vice versa. And you can count on that. The only thing that sucks about being an ES trader is that you just have to be very patient, because as I said, I was in this move for 12 hours just to get stopped out. Exactly. This is where I had my stop. I got out of this trade at break even once I saw that price was coming back to possibly take out my stop. So I took a break even. I took a break even trade. And good thing I did, because it literally went, this is exactly where I had my stop, which was like, wow, that's so crazy. I had my stop literally here at 44 3/4. Just for price to come right back up into this area, swept the liquidity a little bit, and then dump. So we can get predictable price action with the ES. And I'm going to be looking for this area to go long if price does come up and we get price to come down going into later in this session. Let's look at the hourly chart on the ES, and we'll go to gold and we'll be done for tonight. All right, so just like the NQ, we can look at the hourly candles on the ES. We got these 3 massive hourly candles. You can see that the bears and the bulls aggressively sold out of their positions. And as we go into this new session, we can see all this weak buying right now. Even though the market is going to the upside, you can see that these hourly candles are relatively small and they're weak. So I do expect for the bears to come in, take advantage of this weakness, and we can see a move down. So that's what I'm going to be looking for with the ES going into tomorrow. So now we're going to talk about gold. So these fib levels have definitely been playing out with gold. Unfortunately, the market did bounce towards the end of the day, or at 10:30, which is unfortunate because buying gold all the way up here would obviously not be good risk reward. What I would wait for is actually for gold to come back and possibly test this 2364 area. You can see that they've been holding off this neckline at least 4 times. So I expect for the market to come back here and possibly here at this golden fib at 2361, possibly, because I'm going to assume that now the market wants to protect that low. They're going to want to protect this low. And so I'm going to make the assumption that these 2 areas is where taking a trade will have the best risk reward, which is stop underneath this low. But it does appear that the market is making its way higher to test this area. Now, if we do get a breakout of this area and we get a retest of this high, then I expect for the market to come back all the way down here, possibly for a retest. Now, let me do this way, because we have this big massive move down. So I'm going to assume that the bears are going to want to come in here. Now, if they fail to protect this 2372 level, and then I will look for this area here at 2364 for a long. I would find it hard to believe, and this would be a very dangerous trade. If you were to take this trade, this would be something that you would need to have a tight stop on. If we do get a breakout from this level, you can see that this is the neckline of this breaker structure. You can see that the bears did come in and they sold it down right at this neckline. And so I'm not assuming, let me take that back. Or actually, my assumption is that if price tests this area again, we're going to see a stop run. And if we see a stop run, this is going to be a riskier trade. As price comes back to this 2378, 2380 level, having a stop here, possibly around 2376, 2375 for a test of 2389. I wouldn't necessarily take a trade like this, but the break and retest this high, it could work. This is like a 50-50 trade in my opinion. This is a 50-50 trade. You would just have to manage your risk with this one because you are buying high, regardless of a break and retest. If I'm going to trade a break and retest, it's going to be a break and retest like this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to buy a break and retest as low as possible. And this is a great example of a break and retest that I would always buy. You see this consolidation right here. You see a break of that structure. You see a retest. And I would always buy that retest every time because my risk to reward is my stop is right here underneath this consolidation area. And my reward is literally almost to here. I mean, if you can see, if I didn't take profits and I was targeting this area, I was finally able to get my target filled here, and my stop was never touched. Price never even came back to my stop underneath this candle. Now, if I got greedy, I got stopped out. But as I stated before, I wouldn't buy no break and retest that high. But for those that do, just make sure that you keep your stops tight on that one. But with that said, that is all I have for you guys tonight. We definitely will be coming back tomorrow at 8:30, and we will be, based on the price action overnight, we can make better trading decisions. And with that said, peace out.